Thank you, Steph, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for your love, your support, and your counsel over these past 8 years. It's fair to say I wouldn't be here without you. And to Danita Hoskin, thank you for your consistent partnership in the Crown Hill neighborhood, whether it's promoting equity, development through our Lift Indy program, or taking the lead on neighborhood-driven public safety. You have done so much good for our community. Friends, 3 years ago, I stood before you on a night of celebration and optimism. It was November 2019. I was humbled and grateful as the people of Indianapolis sent a resounding message that we were to continue our vision for a safer and stronger community. On that night, I left you all with a simple message. Here in Indianapolis, our best days, our very best days, were yet to come. A few weeks later, I was honored to join with the entire City County Council in a bipartisan swearing-in ceremony on New Year's Day. We now know that at that same time, the World Health Organization had just received a report. A new and deadly illness was sweeping across China. COVID-19 had already begun a silent spread that would eventually touch every country around the globe. Rather than basking in the light of our best days, Indianapolis was about to be cast into the darkness of a global crisis that sought to bind us all together, not through hope, but in fear. Rather than basking in the light of our best days, that's what we were faced with. In the months and years that followed, more than 3,000 Indianapolis residents lost their lives to COVID-19. We honor those we lost, and I remain confident that their memories will be a blessing for this and future generations. But as I look across this room and reflect upon that experience, I am equally confident that in the decades to come, people will also find inspiration from this time. Inspiration drawn from the people of Indianapolis who, in the face of hopelessness, came together and personified the very best of our city. At that moment, Indianapolis stood at a crossroads. The challenges were new, but the choice was not. Follow the path of bold unity, or turn away from what has allowed our city to overcome every obstacle for 2 centuries. You know what happened next. Every day, our first responders left their families to serve the public at a time when everyone else was told to stay home. Every day, our public works and parks employees kept local government working and our facilities open. Every day, clinics and hospitals across our city, doctors, nurses, support staff delivered life-saving care despite their risk to their own health. Every day, we saw that unique Indianapolis and its spirit in ways big and small. I'm particularly proud that over that initial period of time, our administration was able to deploy $168 million in aid to those in need. Because of our swift action, tens of thousands of Indianapolis residents were protected from eviction at a time when other cities were struggling simply to put programs in place. Because of our community partnerships, hundreds of thousands of meals were delivered to those in need, thanks to organizations like Gleaners, Midwest Food Bank, and Second Helpings. Because of our innovative programming, millions of dollars in financial relief were delivered to small businesses, arts organizations, and our tourism industry. And because of our unbreakable spirit of Hoosier hospitality, hundreds of millions of dollars were pumped into our local economy when we safely hosted the biggest events anyone had seen since the beginning of the pandemic, including the Indianapolis 500 and an NCAA March Madness basketball tournament unlike no other. And I did not do that alone. No single person did. That's what made those accomplishments so Indianapolis. We did them together as one city. And in so doing, we led the vanguard of cities who saw the light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. But my friends, I'm not here tonight to talk about the past. Because as proud as I am about how we tackled a once-in-a-century pandemic, that's not what keeps me up at night. I don't dwell on those things that we've already achieved. I never have. Rather, all I can see are the things left undone. The train of progress brought to a screeching halt in March of 2020. No, I'm not here tonight to talk about yesterday. All I can see as I stand here tonight is tomorrow. And Indianapolis, where long overdue investments in our police department and equally long overdue improvements to police accountability means our city enjoys one of the best paid, best trained, best equipped police departments in the entire country. And Indianapolis, where we know that the best way to end the violence in our streets is by helping our families stay in their homes and students stay in their classrooms. And we certainly recognize that it should never be easier for a teenager to get an assault weapon than a diploma. And Indianapolis, where the state's road funding formula funds a mile of Keystone Avenue more than a single-lane road in rural Indiana. And that our transit infrastructure recognizes that every resident, whether they're walking, biking, or driving a vehicle, can do so without the threat of harm. And Indianapolis, where our booming economy is a rising tide that lifts up every neighborhood, and growth does not displace longtime residents who have every right to enjoy its benefits. Now, I'm not here to talk about yesterday. I'm here to talk about the next 4 years. Because that Indianapolis, the one that I can see, the one that we all can see, it was within our grasp 3 years ago. And I believe it's closer than ever today. And I want to get there with all of you and with so many like you throughout the city of Indianapolis. And that is why tonight I stand before you to declare that with your help, I intend to seek a third and final term as the mayor of Indianapolis. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Let me be perfectly clear about one thing. Just because I'm confident that Indianapolis can overcome the challenges before us does not mean that I am ignorant of the hard work that remains. Just because I'm excited at the prospect of finishing the work we've begun does not mean that I find fault with people who question why I would seek one final term. Over the coming weeks and months, I'll be speaking in greater detail about the plans for the next 4 years. But let me address just a few things tonight. In early 2015, I stood before many of you as a candidate for mayor at the Democratic Party's pre-primary convention. Now, there were multiple candidates running that year. I had every reason that day to say the sorts of things that someone standing before a partisan audience might be inclined to say. But I'm proud that I did not pander. I put it plainly to all those who were gathered. I was not running to be the mayor of the Democratic Party. I was running to be the mayor of all of Indianapolis. And since being elected, that's exactly what I've tried to do each and every day. Over the last 4 years, we solved the $50 million deficit while passing every budget with broad bipartisan support. And we've never raised a single tax. Every major policy program, no matter how progressive, has been put together with input and assistance from both Republicans and Democrats. Now, let's be honest. There are some who would rather the city-county building look more like the state and federal levels of government. A battleground littered with good ideas discarded just because the person who came up with the idea is from a different party. My vision for Indianapolis is one where we continue to be the exception to this modern political rule. As every other level of government is characterized by partisan rancor, here in Indianapolis, we're able to work together. That's who I am. It's who I've always been. And I'm not going to hide the ball that if elected for a third and final term, that's exactly the way I intend to continue to lead. Speaking of my vision for Indianapolis, here are just a few other things you should know. We are going to finish what we have started. That means fully implementing our 3-year, $150 million violence reduction plan that included $9 million in modern police technology, funding for 100 new officers, $45 million for grassroots anti-violence programs that have already funded more than 80 local organizations. That means fully implementing our strategy of using civilians and trained clinicians to keep those suffering from substance abuse and mental health challenges out of our jails and into treatment programs that they need and that they deserve. I feel passionately that we must finish this work because we know it is working. In the first year of our violence reduction plan, we've already observed a 15% decrease in the number of criminal homicides and a 14% decrease in non-fatal shootings. So what else do I see over the horizon for Indianapolis? I see our city continuing to build through our 5-year, $1 billion infrastructure plan, while working with the General Assembly to once and for all fix our state's road funding formula. Without raising taxes on Marion County residents. I see thousands of young people receiving college completion scholarships as part of our Indy Achieves program. I see the modernization of city services as we increase citizen access, decrease wait times, and continue to show that the era of big local government is in the past. And friends, as I stand here this evening, looking around this historic building, I'm reminded of the incredible opportunity over the next 4 years as we bring to bear a bold vision for the future of our downtown. Just last week, I announced an historic investment to keep our downtown clean and safe. But my vision isn't one of maintaining what we have. It's time to do what Indianapolis does best, building for an exciting future. So let's start right here. Over the next 3 years, a historic public-private partnership will revitalize the historic city market while transforming an entire city block. Where we gather tonight will soon be the most intensive residential district in the entire state. Cranes are in the air as we finish the first phase of the Elevator Hill redevelopment, which will soon, that development will soon stretch all the way to where we are turning a privatized jail into a new hub of residential and educational activity. And do you want investment that's measured in the billions with a B? How about the IU Health Downtown District, now under construction, which over the coming years will put thousands to work and deliver our city a state-of-the-art healthcare facility. New phases of development at 16 Tech, at Bottle Works, and at our Community Justice Campus. You like Gamebridge Fieldhouse, the field house of the future? Well, just wait until you see our Indiana Convention Center expansion. New development next to Old City Hall, it's on its way. Downtown heliport redevelopment won't be far behind. The old downtown jail, it's coming down and we're going up. And in the coming months, we will partner with state officials to honor the legacy of Herb and Mel Simon by announcing an innovative plan for the future of Circle Center Mall. My friends, the future is bright, but I cannot get there by myself. So are you ready to go to work?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you ready to roll up your sleeves and do the hard things? Are you ready to lift up every neighborhood like it's your own neighborhood? Are you ready to fight to ensure that our best days, our very best days, are yet to come? Well, if you are, good, because so am I. So let's join together once more and build a path to a better, a brighter Indianapolis for all. I thank you very much.